there, cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today I'm happy to bring you issue number 101 in the series, Mon-El. And as you can tell from the cover of the magazine, Mon-El here is a member of Superman's extended family, hence the S logo on the chest there, or the crest of the House of El. He is Kryptonian in heritage, but he was part of a group of colonists, or he descends, I should say, from Kryptonian colonists who colonized a planet known as Daxam. So he is actually a Daxamite. He's traveled through time, in a manner of speaking. He hasn't really appeared outside of the comic books, save for a sort of appearance apparently on Superboy, or I should say Superman and the Legion of Superheroes cartoon show, but he was referred to as Superman X in that, and was more or less a background player. For those of you who don't know Mon-El, well, that's why we have the magazine, which will tell you everything you need to know about the Daxamite hero from the Legion of Superheroes, and then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. A character that I wasn't too familiar with, to be honest with you, until this magazine, and then I discovered what a cool character he is. And a pretty nice figure, honestly, too. Please, sit back, relax, and enjoy issue number 101 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Mon-El. First up, the character section. Where we first meet the teenaged hero known as Mon-El in the town of Smallville, Kansas, where he befriended a teenaged boy named Clark Kent. Having crash-landed in a vehicle similar to the one that Clark had crash-landed in, and exhibiting powers that were very similar to Clark's, he believed that Mon-El was Kryptonian. The two spent weeks together and became best friends, playing in games that only the two of them could participate in. Still suffering from his amnesia, though, Mon-El decided to try and see if he really was Kryptonian by exposing himself to some kryptonite that Clark had. Before Clark could even remove the shard of kryptonite, however, Mon-El suddenly felt ill and weak, and realized that his weakness was against lead. He was growing weaker by the second and realized he was suffering from a fatal case of lead poisoning. Realizing he couldn't cure his friend, Clark decided the only way to save him would be to put him in a state of suspended animation within the Kryptonian prison known as the Phantom Zone. Mon-El was eventually freed a couple of times from the Phantom Zone. The first time he was freed from the Phantom Zone, he was temporarily cured of his lead poisoning, and was left in charge of protecting Metropolis, while Superman was temporarily off-planet. He also worked side by side with fellow Metropolis protector, the Guardian. The second time he was freed was in the 31st century by the Legion of Superheroes, who managed to cure him permanently of his lead poisoning. He joined the Legion of Superheroes and even served as their leader on more than one occasion. He also used their resources and the technology of the 31st century to discover more about his past, and learned that his real name was Largand. Learned that the planet was originally settled by Kryptonian explorers led by a man named Daxam. Daxam and his fellow Kryptonians settled the planet peacefully, unlike the other conquering Kryptonians of his era, and even began to interbreed with the population. Largand also discovered that he had some Earth blood in his veins as well, after learning that another ancestor of his had traveled to Earth and married a Mayan warrior. It was for this reason, having an impure bloodline, that Lar originally was forced to flee from his homeworld after a xenophobic and isolationistic cult of Kryptonians known as the Sorrow Cult threatened to cleanse the planet. The last couple pages bring us up to speed with the character, at least in the time of this publication. We learn that Mon-El is trapped within the Phantom Zone once again, after sacrificing himself to save the entire Legion of Superheroes and the planet Earth. His stay in the Phantom Zone this time was very short-lived, as he was rescued by his teammates on the Legion of Superheroes. On orders from the Legion, he travels to the planet Oa in an attempt to recruit the last known Green Lantern, Sodomyat, once known as Ion, to help them fight against the evil Superboy Prime and the Time Trapper. Mon-El then temporarily served as the Green Lantern of Space Sector 2814 while Sodomyat rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps, but gave up the power ring after he was unable to save his teammate Earthman from an evil entity known as the Chaos Bringer. Next, we look at a couple of Mon-El's classic stories. First up, Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, number 30. This story takes place as an alien race known as the Dominators threaten to destroy not only the Legion of Superheroes, but also the entire Earth. The Legion have developed a weapon that will destroy the Dominators' home world, but it's a suicide mission. Faced with no other choice, this task is given to Mon-El. As the other Legionnaires protest, Mon-El stops them and says that he is willing to die for this cause. It's a beautifully crafted tale that's wonderfully illustrated and shows what a selfless hero Mon-El really is when he believes he will die carrying out this mission, even though it's later revealed that he was just transported back into the Phantom Zone. We also look at Superman, Mon-El. And this story relates to the first time that Superman brought Mon-El out of the Phantom Zone, temporarily curing him so that Superman can travel off-planet, leaving Mon-El as protector of Metropolis in his absence. Mon-El is given a new costume, very reminiscent of his cousin Superman's, adopts the secret identity of Jonathan Kent, Clark's cousin from London, England, which also means he speaks with a British accent, which I found fascinating, and is up to his neck in supervillains in this storyline, taking on the likes of the evil Parasite, Bizarro, and even the Atomic Skull. Mon-El's Friends and Foes section feature his teammates on the Legion of Superheroes, his girlfriend Shadowlass, his cousin Superman, and some of the evil prisoners from the Phantom Zone. Lastly, the iconography section takes a closer look at the interdimensional Kryptonian prison known as the Phantom Zone. The Phantom Zone was discovered by Jor-El, Superman's father, and was used by the Kryptonian High Council as an interdimensional prison for the worst Kryptonian criminals. Anyone placed within the Phantom Zone existed in a sort of limbo. They had no need to sleep, eat, or even breathe, and they would never age or die. They also had no hope of ever escaping, since the only way to be released from the zone was from the outside. We also learn that other heroes have traveled into the Phantom Zone, including Green Lantern's Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. Mon-El, another figure that I wasn't really expecting much from, but I really dig and do recommend adding to your personal collection. He is very nicely done. He is the final member of the Legion of Superheroes in this collection, and in my opinion, the best out of those characters that we've been given. Lightning Lad and Saturn Girl and Cosmic Boy, even Brainiac 5. he was nice, but Mon-El here, in my opinion, is nicer. He just looks better. He's not leaning. His pose is iconic. It reminds me of Superman with the hands on his hips like that. I love how you can see the blue of the underoos peeking underneath the shirt tails, which are hanging underneath the belt. Great gold highlights, which are nice metallic gold on those clasps and on his belt. His skin tone, that chiseled jaw, he looks like how I picture Superboy looking if they had done a more classic Superboy, the Clark Kent Superboy. All the way down to the boots, which are that same nice blue color. He is beautifully done. I'm very, very happy with him. Not exactly the costume I would have picked for him. It's not my favorite, but it is nice. I'll talk a little bit more about what I don't like, nitpicks mostly, and what I do like about this character here in the next section in just a moment. Mon-El stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of the base features his name and serial number. And to compare, here he is next to his cousin, Kal-El, also known as Superman, alongside his teammates in the Legion of Superheroes that have been released as part of this collection, and a group shot alongside all of the other members of Superman's extended family. Mon-El is another really nice addition to this collection. Like I said, I wasn't expecting much from him, but he is very, very cool. If you're a fan of Superman, I definitely recommend picking him up. Is he perfect? Is he flawless? No, not necessarily, and there are some complaints I have with him, but for the most part, he is a very, very nice figure. We'll start with the good. I really like the colors on this guy. The paint scheme is really well done. I like the pose a lot too. I think it's iconic. It reminds me of Superman, as a matter of fact. It easily could have been an alternate pose for that character. I like the sculpture on him, the musculature. The paint is mostly clean. I even like the costume, although it's not my favorite from Mon-El. I do like it. And all of the little details are very well done on him. He is nearly flawless, to be honest with you. You can see the boots are that nice baby sort of blue. The red is really well done. There is great black shading and highlighting on the red bits too, so it's not this solid red. I like how just a hint of his blue underpants are showing through there, how the tails of the shirt are hanging underneath that belt. The belt has a nice texture to it, too. It looks like it's leather or something, a different texture from the rest of the costume. The gold buckle is nicely done with that metallic gold flecking. It's the same sort of gold paint they used on the clasps of where his cape connects to the upper body. His upper body is also nicely done, and it's not a tight shirt. It's not spandex, but you can still see musculature through it, especially on the arms of the figure. You can see how ripped he is, yet there is still some looseness to the fabric of the shirt itself. The cape is nice, it's big, and it's hanging off his shoulders. Again, it's that nice bluish color. And the head sculpt, finally, is really well done. I like the mandarin collar of the shirt, too, on the neck. It's great. His flesh tone is nice. His look, the look on his face is cool, too. It's very hopeful, like he's gazing off into the distance. Nice big blue eyes, chiseled jaw. His hair is nicely sculpted all the way around. It's a glossy black. And I just think that the head sculpt is really fantastic. He almost looks like how I imagine Superboy would have looked if they had done the classic Superboy, and it really does remind me of Mon-El. It's a great head sculpt. The bad, which is really just nitpicks and a little fanboy complaint. The nitpicks would be some very minor paint bleeding, very minor, and the same complaint I had with the other Legion members, which is he doesn't have a Legion flight ring and he doesn't have the Legion logo on his belt. But I forgive it on Mon-El because he really didn't wear them all that often in the comic books anyway, and it's not like he's a founding member of the Legion. The only other fanboy complaint I have would be the costume. While I really love this costume a lot, I do dig it, I sort of wish he was wearing the one that he has on the cover of the magazine with that Superman logo, but, again, just some minor fanboy wish. Finally, the ugly. He's pretty solid for the most part. The only thing to watch out for would be the cape. You want to make sure that it hasn't popped off of the shoulders, and if you can check before you purchase, I highly recommend doing so. Mon-El, also known as Largand, is another really cool character in this collection. It's great having him. I really like him. I like how he's sort of been retconned into Superman's history in some very clever ways with the Legion of Superheroes especially, and it's neat to have him beside the Man of Steel. It's also really fantastic to finally have all of the members of the Legion of Superheroes that Eaglemoss is releasing in this collection. This is it. There's all 5 of the official members, and of course we can also do have a nice big group shot here of all of the honorary members as well that have been released in this collection, and that's it. He's the last one of the Legion, so there's another good reason to pick him up. He's really cool. I like the pose. I like the costume. And, oh, here's another interesting fact. He's the final member of the Superman family in the Eaglemoss collection. That's right. While Batman's will continue to grow, Superman's ends here. This is it. There's your group shot of all of the Superman family. So another great reason to add him to your collection. Like I said, not necessarily for everyone, but a very impressive figure, one that has definitely impressed me. I hope you decide to add Mon-El here, the last of the Legion of Superhero characters in this collection, and the best in my opinion, to your personal collection, and I hope you also have enjoyed my review of Largand here, and that you please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next figure in the collection. Another teenaged hero, folks, another member of the Teen Titans. It seems like we've had quite a few of those lately, and it's another one that has not been around for very long. He was actually first introduced, if I'm not mistaken, in an animated cartoon show, and has become one of the most popular teenaged heroes in the DCU, although not necessarily one of my favorites. He's still pretty cool, so I hope you stay tuned for that quick teaser. As always, I'm your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.